Hi, I'm Romina. Before I continue, please like and subscribe. One click from you means more stories can be shared. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers and make a difference. Let's begin. You know those families that look perfect on the outside? That was mine. My mom, Karen, always wearing designer clothes and that fake smile. My dad, Richard, successful businessman who was never home. My older brother, Derek, the golden child who could do no wrong. And my younger sister, Amber, who learned early to play their games. Then there was me, Romina Anderson, the family disappointment. Romina, why can't you be more like your brother? Mom would ask at dinner, not even looking up from her phone. He's going to be a doctor, Dad would add. What are you going to do with an English degree? Write poems in a coffee shop? I'd push my food around my plate. I want to be a publisher. I've told you that. That's not a real career, Mom would snap. It's just reading all day. Derek would smirk across the table. Maybe if you applied yourself like I did? Applied yourself? I'd laugh. You mean having Dad pay your way through med school? That's enough, Dad would interrupt. We support Derek because he's doing something worthwhile. Amber, only 15, would stay quiet, watching how to play her cards right. This was my life for 22 years. But everything changed the night of my college graduation. We're so proud of you, my best friend Zoe said, hugging me after the ceremony. You did it! Thanks, Z. Couldn't have survived without you, I replied, adjusting my cap. Your family coming to the dinner tonight? She asked. I nodded. Supposedly, Mom texted they're running late. Classic. Zoe rolled her eyes. Want me to come for moral support? No, it's okay. I can handle them for one night. I had no idea what was coming. The restaurant was upscale. Dad's choice, obviously. I arrived early, nervously smoothing my dress. I'd worked so hard for this day. 4 years of double majors, working part-time, maintaining a 3.9 GPA. Maybe tonight they'd finally see me. They arrived 30 minutes late. Traffic was terrible, Mom announced, not apologizing. Derek had a meeting with the hospital board that ran long. Congrats, sis, Derek said, barely looking up from his phone. Dad just nodded at me, already scanning the wine list. Amber gave me a quick hug. Your dress is pretty, she whispered. Thanks, Amber. I smiled. At least someone noticed. The waiter came for our orders, and Dad took charge as usual. We'll have the seafood platter to start, he said. And bring a bottle of the Cabernet. Actually, I spoke up, I'd love the stuffed mushrooms. I've been wanting to try them. Mom sighed dramatically. Romina, your father already ordered. I know, but why do you always have to be difficult? She snapped. I felt myself shrinking. I just wanted mushrooms. And I want a daughter who doesn't embarrass us, she muttered. I froze. What did you just say? Your mother's just tired, Dad said, not defending me. No, I want to hear what she meant, I insisted. Mom's face hardened. Fine. You want honesty? We spent all this money on your education and for what? So you can chase some pipe dream in publishing? Derek's already been accepted to residency and you'll be making coffee somewhere. Mom, Amber gasped. It's true, Derek chimed in. Let's face it, Romina's always been the family screw-up. I graduated with honors today, I said quietly. 2 majors? I already have an internship lined up at Palmer House Publishing. An internship? Dad scoffed. Minimum wage at best. You have to start somewhere, I defended myself. I'm working toward something I care about. We should have pushed you harder, Mom said, shaking her head. Maybe military school would have straightened you out. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. On my graduation day, this is what you have to say to me? Someone has to be honest with you, Mom replied. We've been carrying you for years. Carrying me? I've paid my own rent for 3 years. I worked all through college. With a car we bought you, Dad pointed out. On our insurance. I felt tears stinging my eyes. So that's all I am to you? A disappointment? A burden? Mom looked me straight in the eyes and said it. Sometimes we wish you were never born. You've been nothing but problems since day one. The table went silent. Even Derek looked shocked. I should have cried. I should have screamed. Instead, I just smiled. Thank you for finally being honest, I said calmly. Romina, she didn't mean, Dad started. Yes, she did, I cut him off. And it's okay, because now I know exactly where I stand. I stood up, collected my purse. Amber, call me anytime you need me. The rest of you, I think we're done here. Mom's face turned red. Sit down, you're making a scene. No, Mom, you made the scene. I'm just leaving it. And I walked out, leaving them speechless. You did what? Zoe exclaimed when I showed up at her apartment. Just left them sitting there, I said, kicking off my heels. You should have seen their faces. Are you okay? She asked, already pouring wine. Strangely, yes. It hurts, but it's also freeing. Like I finally know the truth. They're toxic, Rom. You deserve better. I took a deep breath. I know. And now I'm going to build better. That night was a turning point. I made a decision. I wouldn't seek revenge. I'd seek success. The internship at Palmer House Publishing started the following week. My supervisor, Marcus, was impressed with my work ethic. Most interns take weeks to get the hang of things, he said. You're already submitting reader reports better than some of our juniors. I've been preparing for this my whole life, I replied. 6 months later, my phone rang. It was Amber. Hey, sis, how's it going? I asked. Not great, she sighed. Mom and Dad are driving me crazy about college applications. They want me to do pre-med like Derek. And what do you want? Photography. You know I've always loved it. Then do photography. They'll cut me off, like they did to you, she said quietly. Did they tell you that's what happened? I asked. Yeah. Mom says you chose your stupid career over family. I laughed. Amber, they didn't cut me off. I left. There's a difference. Really? Really. And guess what? I'm doing just fine. 2 weeks later, Amber showed up at my apartment with a suitcase. I told them I'm applying to art school, she explained. Dad threw my camera against the wall. I hugged her tight. You can stay as long as you need. They said horrible things about you, she whispered. That you'd fail and come crawling back. Well, we'll just have to prove them wrong, won't we? Life moved forward. I was promoted to junior editor after a year. Amber got accepted to art school with a partial scholarship. We shared my small apartment, both working part-time jobs to make ends meet. Then came the call from Derek. Romina, we need to talk, he said, sounding serious. About what? It's Dad. He's having some business troubles. The company's not doing well. I hadn't spoken to my parents in almost 2 years. And this concerns me how? He might need to borrow some money, just to tide things over. I nearly choked. You're joking, right? After everything they said to me? Family helps family, Derek insisted. Interesting. Where was that philosophy when I graduated? Don't be petty, Romina. This is serious. I'm sure it is. Have Mom sell some of her jewelry? You've changed, he accused. Yes, I agreed. That's called growth. A month later, I received a promotion to associate editor at Palmer House. Marcus pulled me aside after the announcement. There's something you should know, he said. Remember that manuscript you championed? The one everyone else passed on? Beneath the Surface? Of course. The author just won the National Book Critics Circle Award. You have a real eye for talent, Romina. I couldn't stop smiling. Thank you for trusting my judgment. That weekend, Mom showed up unannounced at my apartment. You've lost weight, she said instead of hello. Hello to you too, Mom. What are you doing here? She glanced around my apartment, clearly judging the modest furnishings. Your father and I are having a dinner next weekend. For Derek. He's been named chief resident. Congratulations to him. Why are you telling me this? We thought you and Amber should come. It would look good to have the whole family there. I stared at her incredulously. Look good? To whom? Derek's fiancé's parents will be there. They're very family-oriented. So this is about appearances, I said flatly. Not about actually wanting to see us. Don't be dramatic, Romina. It's what families do. No, Mom. It's what your kind of family does. Pretends everything is perfect when it's broken. After everything we've done for you, like telling me you wish I was never born? I interrupted. She had the audacity to roll her eyes. I was upset. You know I didn't mean it. Actually, I think it was the first honest thing you ever said to me. Mom's face hardened. Fine, be difficult as always, but Amber should come. Amber can make her own decisions. When Amber came home from class, I told her about Mom's visit. Are you going? She asked. No, but you can if you want to. She thought for a moment. I'll go on one condition. You come too. Amber. Please, Rom. I need the support. And honestly, I think it's time you showed them who you've become. That's how I found myself back at another family dinner, 3 years after the graduation disaster. The restaurant was even more upscale this time. Derek's fiancée, Christine, seemed nice enough. Her parents were clearly wealthy and kept talking about their vacation homes. Mom was in her element, playing the perfect mother. We're so proud of all our children, she gushed. Derek in medicine, Amber in photography, and Romina in publishing, was it? Yes, I smiled. Actually, I was just promoted to associate editor. How lovely, Christine's mother said. What does that entail? I discover new authors, help shape their manuscripts, negotiate contracts. Romina recently acquired a book that won a major award, Amber added proudly. Mom looked surprised. Dad finally seemed interested. What kind of money does that position make? He asked bluntly. Richard, Mom scolded, embarrassed. It's fine, I said calmly. Enough to pay my bills, support my sister when she needed it, and even put some away for savings. Derek nearly choked on his wine. Wait, you have savings? Is that so hard to believe? I asked. Well, yes, Dad admitted. Your degree was so impractical. I took a sip of water. Turns out passion and hard work are quite practical after all. Christine's father turned to me. The publishing industry is fascinating. My investment firm actually handles accounts for several major publishing houses. Including Palmer House? I asked. Yes, actually. Do you know Thomas Palmer? He's my boss's boss, I smiled. He mentioned bringing in new investors recently. Dad's expression changed. The conversation moved on, but I could see the wheels turning in his head. Later, as dessert was served, Dad cleared his throat. Romina, could we speak privately for a moment? We stepped away from the table. Your mother and I may have been hasty in our judgment, he started. 3 years ago? Or my entire life? He ignored that. This connection with Palmer House could be valuable. Thomas Palmer is notoriously selective about who he does business with. I smiled as realization dawned. And you want me to introduce you? It would be mutually beneficial, he suggested. I could help your career advance. My career is advancing just fine on its own merits, I replied. But I'm curious, what happened to your business? Derek mentioned you were having troubles. Dad's face fell. Just a temporary setback. Some investments didn't pan out. How temporary? We might lose the house, he admitted reluctantly. Your mother doesn't know yet. That must be difficult, I said, not without sympathy. Having everything you worked for slip away? I could recover with the right connections. I nodded thoughtfully. You know, there was something you said to me once that really stuck with me. What's that? Someone has to be honest with you, I quoted. Those were Mom's words, but you nodded along. He looked uncomfortable. Romina, we've all said things we regret. The difference is, I don't regret anything I've said to you, because I've always been honest. I looked him directly in the eyes. No, Dad. I won't introduce you to Thomas Palmer. Not because I'm vengeful, but because I don't recommend people I don't believe in. And I stopped believing in you a long time ago. His face turned red. After everything we've done for you. You gave me life, then made me feel like I shouldn't have been born, I interrupted. We're even. I returned to the table, where Mom was showing off photos of their vacation home. This place has been in the family for years, she was saying. We spend every summer there. Not anymore, I said quietly, taking my seat. What was that, dear? Christine's mother asked. Nothing, I smiled, just thinking out loud. After dinner, as everyone was saying goodbyes, Mom pulled me aside. I don't know what your father talked to you about, but he seems upset. He'll get over it. She lowered her voice. Romina, whatever issues we've had in the past, we're still family. Family doesn't tell family they wish they were never born, I replied calmly. I told you I didn't mean that. But you did, Mom, and that's okay, because it helped me see the truth. What truth? I smiled at her. That I never needed your approval. I just thought I did. So that's it? Years of raising you, and you just throw us away? No, Mom, I'm not throwing anything away. I'm building something better. You're welcome to be part of it, but only if you can see me for who I am, not who you wanted me to be. She stared at me, speechless again. 6 months later, the news broke. Dad's company filed for bankruptcy. They had to sell the house and the vacation property. Derek called me in a panic. Did you know about this? Why didn't you help? How could I have helped, Derek? It's not my business. But your connections wouldn't have saved a sinking ship, I finished for him. Dad made his choices. Mom and Dad moved into a condo. Derek had to actually work for a living instead of coasting on Dad's reputation. And Amber graduated with honors from art school. As for me, I was named the youngest senior editor in Palmer House history. The author I discovered became a bestseller. And Thomas Palmer himself took me to lunch to discuss my future with the company. You have exceptional judgment, Romina, he said. Not just with manuscripts, but with people. That's rare. I learned it the hard way, I admitted. The best lessons usually come that way, he smiled. We're starting a new imprint focused on emerging voices. I'd like you to head it. I nearly dropped my fork. Are you serious? Completely. You see potential where others don't. That's exactly what we need. That night, I called Zoe to share the news. I told you, she squealed. I knew you'd show them all. It wasn't about showing them, I said, realizing it was true. It was about showing myself what I could do. So what happens now? Are you going to rub it in their faces? I thought about it. No, their consequences came naturally from their own actions. That's better than any revenge I could have planned. A week later, I received a letter from Mom. It was the closest thing to an apology she could manage. We may have been wrong about your career choice, she wrote. If you'd like to have lunch sometime, my schedule is open. I put the letter aside. Maybe someday I'd take her up on it, but not yet. I wasn't angry anymore, just at peace with who I was and wasn't. The real victory wasn't leaving my family speechless at a dinner table. It was finding my voice and never letting anyone silence it again. So here's my question for you. If someone told you they wished you were never born, would you try to prove them wrong? Or would you simply live your best life and let them witness it from a distance?